Welcome to Beyond the Bizarre, a podcast curated to all things, well, bizarre. My name is Brianna, and I will be sharing with you urban legends, lore, ghost stories, and more from around our planet. Hey, everybody, happy Tuesday. Welcome back to Beyond the Bizarre. This is Brianna. I'm glad to have you guys back with me for another episode this week. Last week, I had shared with you all some personal stories about my encounters with haunted schools as part of our end of summer horrors special for the month of August. I also shared with you all a ritual that originated on creepypasta known as 11 Miles. I shared that with you all as well, and I hope you all enjoyed that. This week, we are continuing our end of summer horror special with something that I found really interesting because I had never heard of it before. Most horror things I've kind of heard an inkling of it, but this is one that never really crossed my radar, and I found that really interesting. And it had a lot of things with it, a lot of good things that I found really, really creepy, but also at the same time perfect for an episode. So, our topic for this week is Clinton Road in New Jersey. Now, before I get started, I do want to say that tonight's episode does contain elements of course, horror, mentions of animal and human sacrifice, murder, and of course, ghostly apparitions. So, if you're under the age of 13, listen at your own discretion or get parental permission before you listen, or listen with your parent or guardian, whichever. But I just want to put that out there as a disclaimer. Just listen at your own risk. If you feel that that may be too much for you, or if you feel that it may scare you or trigger you in some way, then by all means do not listen. Caution at this time right now. So with that being said, let's get into the legend of Clinton Road, New Jersey. Clinton Road is located in West Milford, New Jersey, in Passaic County. There are two ends of the road. The north end of the road starts at Warwick Turnpike in West Milford. The south end is around Route 23 in West Milford. The road itself stretches about 10 miles. Per legend and lore, this road is 10 miles of horror, with things ranging from ghostly apparitions, human sacrifice, animal sacrifice, UFO sightings, otherworldly creatures. This road pretty much has a little bit of everything from where my research carried me. When I was reading about it, the first thing that crossed my mind is that how come I've never heard about this before? That was the first thing that crossed my mind because usually everything creepy I kind of know about or I've heard about in some capacity, but this kind of skipped over my radar, which I was like, oh, I wish I would have known about this earlier, but I'm glad I found it now. The Weird New Jersey magazine, which is a semi-annual magazine, was helpful to our research. So if you guys want to learn more about it, we're going to post some links on our website so you guys can go read more about the road as well. So whatever we share here on their website, they actually have first encounters of people who have witnessed things or experienced things on the road. So we'll include those on our website for you guys to check it out as well. Once again, that's called Weird New Jersey, or Weird NJ for short. One of the first legends that I came across centers around Cross Castle. The legend, well, not so much as the legend, the origins of Cross Castle originates back in 1905 when the castle was built by Richard Cross for his wife and his three children. Upon Cross's death in 1917, The family ended up selling the property 2 years later in 1919 to the city of Newark. The wooden structure of the castle ended up being destroyed during a fire, but it left the stone walls intact. When the house fell into ruin, it ended up becoming a popular party spot for teens to throw parties, hang out, whatever. Also, many hiking trails lead up to the ruins of Cross Castle, which caused a lot of hikers to end up hanging out there as well. On the more creepier side, aside from the hikers and teenagers that make it a hangout spot, it is also rumored to be a congregation spot for Satan worshippers. And supposedly the ruins are covered in satanic symbols, particularly on the interior, which is said to be inaccessible. But obviously, someone has accessed it to be able to make those marks and make those symbols. Also, per rumors and encounters that we also read about on Weird NJ, the Ku Klux Klan is also said to hold meetings there, which has given the castle, or the ruins, I should say, the nickname of Cross Castle with a K instead of a C. So the first thing that crossed my mind is that not only do we have Satanists up here worshiping Satan, we also have the Ku Klux Klan up here. And also, on top of that, we have teenagers, hikers, KKK, and Satan worshippers. Like, I don't even know. That's probably why the road is weird, because all this stuff going on, I don't know. It is interesting to say the least, to have a set of ruins that kind of brings all kinds of people there. What makes this place like a beacon? Like, what brings all these people to this one place? Is it because it's a ruins? It's not really upkept like that. Like, my question is, why would everyone choose this place? So the people who have visited has claimed to have seizures while there after hearing weird chanting. That was one encounter that was mentioned. This woman, she went up there with some friends, and one of her friends, upon hearing the rattling of chains and hearing chanting, she fell into a seizure. And shortly after the chanting stopped, her seizure stopped, and she had returned to normal. And needless to say, they hauled out of there. Aside from seizures, some people also experience getting weird bruises shortly after leaving. They realize that they have been bruised somehow, but don't recall how it happened. So that's something that's really weird too. I wouldn't want to, you know, be somewhere and have bruises appear on me and not knowing where it came from, not remembering bumping into anything or anything that would cause it. It's just there. That's really creepy for me. And others have also claimed of having weird, strange visions, borderline disturbing visions, while visiting or shortly after leaving Cross Castle. So that's, I don't know why people want to go there. I'm sorry. Once I know that there's Satan worshippers up there and the KKK up there, I will not want to be there. And that also leads me to another fact about the Cross Castle, is that one legend of the Cross Castle does state that the castle rebuilds itself to full glory on every October 30th. Per that legend, the KKK sacrifices a goat on that day every year. Per Weird NJ, an individual experienced an encounter in which their truck was chased by some creature that looked similar to a dog. However, it wasn't running, it was floating. Now, let, I'm sorry, but I'm going to go over a lot of encounters and things that people have witnessed and seen. And I know the people, especially local people, know the legends of the road. I don't know why people be putting themselves in these situations, but I digress. If I saw a floating dog chasing my car, for one, I'm going to be crying. I'm going to be crying and praying. I'm going to be losing my mind. But obviously, the people were okay since they were alive to tell the tale for us to be able to say today. That floating dog is said to be something associated with Cross Castle, or it could be associated with Dead Man's Corner. So, Dead Man's Corner is a part of Clinton Road. Dead Man's Corner is rumored to be a place of animal sacrifices, and it is advised and said, per lore, that if you see an animal dead or alive in the middle of the road, do not get out of your car. Turn around and put the pedal to the metal. No matter, once again, if they're a dead animal, a live animal, if you see a cow standing there in the middle of the road or whatever type of animal, do not get out your car. It said that harm will come to you. Per lore, you will be killed. So, all you animal lovers out there, as much as it may be hard for you to ignore that, if you're on Clinton Road, please do not get out your car. Stay in your car and turn around, drive away. Aside from animal sacrifices, there are other strange creatures that are said to lurk in the woods along Clinton Road. There have been sightings of hellhounds, monkeys, unidentifiable hybrid animals are all said to have been seen. Now, monkeys I can understand. I mean, although yes, it is weird. It is bizarre to have monkeys running, in the upper east coast of the United States, but it's it's probable. But with hellhounds, I'm not going to get too much into hellhounds. That's a topic for another episode. So I'm not going to get into hellhounds just yet. But yes, they've been said that hellhounds have been spotted. Hybrid animals, like a cross between two different animals, have been spotted. Now, it can be something supernatural going on there. It is believed by locals if it's not of supernatural origin, then it's said that they may have been the survivors of a jungle habitat, which was a nearby attraction that had closed in 1976. They believe that some animals from that exhibit may have somehow survived and ended up crossbreeding, which have made these weird hybrid animals that people are spotting. So that sounds like a possibility that may be the result of all these weird animal sightings. The floating dog, however, I'm seriously thinking that suggests some type of sacrifice or something like that. It's weird nonetheless. So going back to Dead Man's Curve, not only is that a place of supposed animal sacrifices, people have also spotted aliens and UFOs along that curve as well. From large to small, UFOs, lights in the sky, things of that nature. Now, so far, we've covered KKK meetings, Satanist meetings or rituals, animal sacrifices, and now, well, hybrid animals, hellhounds, and now we have aliens out there too. Now, all this stuff going on in this one road, there's some crazy mess. It is. All this stuff going on one road is just really, really, it's interesting, but nonetheless, like what's going on? Is this road like a beacon for things? Like I said earlier, it makes me feel like it may be a beacon or something of that nature that's kind of pulling these things to it, or what's causing all these bad things to happen at this one area of the country. It's just weird, but I guess they call it America's Most Haunted Road for a reason. So let's truck on further. Speaking of trucks, another legend of Clinton Road is the legend of the ghost truck. So this legend of the ghost truck mentions that phantom vehicles, such as pickup trucks, or sometimes just floating headlights not attached to any vehicle, will supposedly appear out from nowhere in the middle of the night and chase drivers to the end of Clinton Road, then completely vanish into thin air. So, like I said, it could be attached, it can be just disattached headlights or kind of like the silhouette of a pickup truck, and it would just completely chase you all the way down the road. And once you reach the end of the road, once you left Clinton Road, it completely disappears as if it was never there. That's really scary. Because, like, what if you were to run off the road or something like that happens? Or I wanted to get more information as to why the ghost truck exists. Like, is this like a restless spirit of someone who may have died in a truck or may have wrecked or something like that? What's causing the manifestation of that vehicle or that supernatural event to occur. Aside from the ghost truck is not the only ghostly vehicle that haunts Clinton Road. Another story is the ghost Camaro. So per legend, a girl was driving her blue 1988 Chevy Camaro and collided with a cement divider on the sharpest turn of Clinton Road, killing her instantly. Lore says that any mention while driving on the road at night is supposed to trigger a manifestation. So if you tell the story, it is said that you will see a blue Camaro pass by or see the lights of the Camaro in your rearview mirror. So the only way to trigger the manifestation and for you to be able to see it is for you to tell the story or to even slightly just mention it. Just be like, hey, back in 1988, a girl died on this road. It's said to cause the manifestation for the car to appear. I did not see anything about like if the Camaro chases you off the road or what happens. For the most part, from what I can tell from the encounter, that you just see the car, and that's enough to scare me, to be honest. Just you mentioning it, you manifesting it, talking about it, and it just appears. That's enough to scare me. I don't need to be chased. That's enough. That's it for me. To add to the list of apparitions on Clinton Road is the story of Ghost Boy Bridge. Now, there are two bridges on Clinton Road, so unfortunately, it's not known which bridge the Ghost Boy is likely to appear. So you can try your luck at both. There are two, but this is how the legend goes. With that being said, there are multiple retellings of the legend, different details added, taken away. So I'm going to tell you each version that I was able to find. So, one version of the legend or lore is if you put a quarter in the middle of the road where the yellow line is, at one of the bridges over Clinton Brook, also known as Dead Man's Curve, near the reservoir at midnight, it will supposedly be promptly returned by the ghost of a boy who drowned while swimming below, or in some versions, he had fallen while sitting on the edge of the bridge. If you were to visit the area, you will see that many have obviously tested the legend. If you look closely at the water below Dead Man's Curve, you will see coins in the creek that were tossed in. In another retelling of the tale of Ghost Boy Bridge, the ghost is a spirit of a young boy that got hit by a car when he went to pick up a quarter on the ground. Per this version of the lore, if you get out of the car and stand on the bridge, you will see a quarter drop out of nowhere. When you go to pick it up, the little boy will push you into the water, preventing you from being hit like he was. Now that was a little sad, I can't lie. When I read them, I'm like, oh, because it's so sad. Like he's reliving his death over and over, but at the same time, he's also wanting to prevent someone from being killed as he was. So that's sad. Another another part of that same lore is in some tellings you actually see, instead of just a quarter hitting the ground, you actually see the ghost of the boy while you're telling the story. So you start telling a story, the ghost of the boy appears and he actually pushes whoever's telling the story into the water. So how the story setup goes is that you look over the bridge and you start telling the story. And as you're telling the story, the ghost boy will appear and push you over the side of the bridge. So that's another, from what people who have encountered it says, is another mechanism to kind of save you from a similar fate, from being hit. So from the ghost boy's perspective, it's better for you to be in the water than be hit and die. Once again, it's sad nonetheless that he's reliving this over and over, but at the same time wanting to save the lives of other people. The ghost boy of Ghost Boy Bridge is not the only guardian there is said to haunt Clinton Road. There's also a legend or lore of two park rangers who died on the job in 1939 that still continue to monitor the wooded area and protect campers within the woods. The first encounter, I couldn't find where or when the encounter happened, but per that encounter, a group of friends were camping near Terrace Pond, which is located on a ridge that can be accessed from the road by hiking trails. So these group of friends, were hanging out camping and they encountered two park rangers. Well, later they had realized or later found out that the two park rangers were not actually alive, they were dead. The first thing that popped into their mind is that the rangers were oddly dressed and it was an odd hours to be seeing them, and when they saw them they were just staring at them. They didn't say anything, didn't speak, and they would just disappear shortly after. So the group of friends kind of found it weird, and I guess once they did more research they found out that the rangers had unfortunately died on the job back so many years ago in 1939. One interesting aspect to me is that when the rangers appear, even if you're in a group of friends, not everyone will see them per the encounter. A few of the friends saw them, but when the other friends looked, they weren't seeing anything while the others were. That was interesting, but also very creepy to me. For why would why would only a handful or certain people be able to see them while the others couldn't? I just thought that was unsettling, but at the same time very interesting. So I would have liked to have learned more about it, and I may even see if I can find some more about it. And if I do, I will include that on our website if I do find anything about those park rangers. With ghostly apparitions aside, Clinton Road has another creepy element up his sleeve, unsurprisingly. So, another interesting thing that I found was the lore of the Druidic Temple. So, the Druidic Temple was actually an iron smelter that was built in 1826. So, the iron smelter is said to double as a Druidic temple, and where local Druids, would practice their rituals and horrible things happen to people who intrude there, or know too much or come at the wrong time or just dwell a little bit too close to it. Horrible things are said to happen. I would love to get into what a druid is or what they practice, but that's another episode for another day. I'll touch on that in a later episode. I don't want to stray too far away from Clinton Road. But the Druidic Temple in 1976 was actually listed in the National Register of Historic Places as Clinton Furnace. So now, if you were to look it up, if you look up Clinton Furnace, you'll be able to see that iron smelter, also known as the Druidic Temple of Clinton. Unfortunately, today you may not be able to, well, I'm not going to say you may not, you most certainly will most likely not be able to enter it, as it is currently fenced off by the Newark Water Department to prevent anyone from entering, and also so they won't be held liable for any injury that might result from you entering. So, injury is probable for someone not to be able to enter. But at the same time, like, the druids don't want you there. So what if the druids are secretly like plotting or having it so no one can enter? Like, what if there's some type of secret agreement or something like that? I have a conspiracy mind, so that's just how I think. I just think there's more to it there, but I'm not going to dig too much into it because, like they said, horrible things happen to people who dig too close. So let me move on. The last tale is not so much as lore from Clinton Road, but I wanted to do it as an honorable mention because although it's not really lore, it's actually fact that it happened, is the tale of the Iceman, which, okay, it does sound like a legend, but it actually happened. So, back in May of 1983, a body was discovered by a cyclist. The cyclist found the body upon investigating a vulture feasting nearby in the area. So, he was riding his bike by and saw a vulture feasting and wanted to know what was going on. So, he went into the trees. There was a body of a man lying there. He was dead. And per the autopsy, the victim had ice crystals in the blood vessels near his heart. The internal organs had also decayed at a rate slower than that of his skin, so his skin was decaying quicker than his internal organs. So this led to the notion of foul play, as investigators and pathologists concluded that the victim was frozen after death to mislead investigators. So the body being frozen, it was it was kind of an attempt to mislead investigators to believing that the victim met their demise at a later time than it actually did. So they kind of wanted to kind of mess with the time stamp a little bit as to when the victim actually died. So I guess as I'll tell you what happened later, but I guess and what was going through my mind at the time is that they they didn't have the technology, or they're not going to know the difference, or I guess they probably thought that the body would thaw out before it was found, whatever. Since they dumped it out in the middle of the woods and on along Clinton Road, they probably thought that no one in their right mind would be out there anyway. Based on what goes on out there, all the creepy stuff that goes on, I guess they just figured it was a perfect place to dump a body. So the victim was later identified as Daniel Deppner. So Daniel Deppner was a local criminal known for his involvement in theft and mafia organized crime activities. So when I first read this, before I even got to what happened, the first thing that popped into my mind was mafia hit. That's the first thing that popped into my mind, because if he's in organized crime, that's obviously what happened. And that is exactly what happened, because in 1986, Richard Konklinski, which is a native of New Jersey, and who also happened to be involved in Rockland organized crime, confessed to the murder of Deppner, concluding the investigation of Deppner's murder. So Richard Konklinski was also known as the Iceman, which makes sense considering the fact that he froze their body. So for him to have the name the Iceman, it kind of leads to how many people did he do this to? For him to have been known by that is because he actually has a method of killing people. They may have been successful in the past, but I guess Clinton Road, didn't want to help him out on this one. So the cyclist found the body, and the rest was history. But like I said, I think when he dumped the body there, I guess he assumed that no one would be out there looking, or no one really gets out their car to just keep going. So I don't know if it was like a twist of fate, or maybe the good spirits of Clinton Road was turning the odds in Deppner's favor. Who knows? But it was interesting, and I thought it was worth an honorable mention, even though it's not really so much as creepy. It is a bizarre case for sure. All these tales of Clinton Road really, really creeped me out, but at the same time, it was very interesting because, like I said, I had never heard of it before. And for it to be in America where I'm from, I was like, well, I don't know how I didn't hear about this, but it was really, really cool. It was really cool to read about it, really cool to learn about it. And I knew I just had to feature it on an episode and have its own episode for our end of summer horrors. So if you're out there taking your road trip, if you're going up to New York or going through the New Jersey area or anything like that, and if you decide to take a drive down those 10 miles down Clinton Road, please let us know on our Facebook page, our Instagram Beyond the Bazaar, Facebook Beyond the Bazaar, our website www.beyondthebazaar.com. Please let us know if you guys decide to, or if any of you listeners have already been there and witnessed something of your own, then please let us know. We would like to hear it. I did mean to mention this at the beginning of our show, but we are also now on YouTube. So if you have anyone or have any friends, or if you just want to one day listen on YouTube, you can. We just want to make the podcast accessible to as many people as we can and make it easy, seamless for you all to listen to us. And that's pretty much our goal. And we love doing this and love sharing all of this creepy, weird, bizarre information with you guys every Tuesday. So with that being said, we'll be back next Tuesday with a new episode of End of the Summer Horrors for our August special. Until then, stay bizarre and have a great night.